All right, welcome everyone to the premiere edition, the debut edition of the Live Younger, Longer podcast. I'm super excited. I'm so excited I decided to stand up. I got so much energy because I'm so excited to start this movement. I really want to start a community of people. I mean, what if real measure of wealth isn't in your bank account, but maybe of how young you feel, how much energy you wake up with, how long you actually live to enjoy life, to get more life out of each year's. That's what I'm super excited about because I don't know about you, but I want to be 80 with my hair on fire, still living like I was in my 30s and 40s, right? And that's what I want to do for people. I want to really help people to not only get more life out of the years, but in all aspects of life, whether that's health and wellness, whether that's on the aesthetic side, financially, faith, fitness, of course, that's all a part of how well we live and how we just honestly get to a point where, again, we're getting more life out of our years. I want to continue to live longer, but I want to do it in a way where my health span, that youth span, keeps up with it. Sadly, in today's world, there's so much times where that health gap is widening, right? Where yes, we're living longer, but the quality of life is not there. And that's why I wanted to start this community and start this movement so we could do it together. So a lot of you may not know me. I've actually been in the health and wellness space for well over 15 years now. I've been a CrossFit coach for about a decade. I'm honestly in better shape at 49 than I was in my 20s. And this is what kind of gave me the idea, because as I'm getting older, my goal every year is to be in the absolute best shape of my life. My wife and I, we've been married for almost 30 years now. And what I love about it is as we travel, we get to do a lot of fun stuff, whether it's hiking or river rafting or whatever that might be, to have the health, the youth, and the vitality to really enjoy life and to really help do it. I can tell you personally, being an entrepreneur, I've been completely on my own since 2008, going through those ups and downs and how we age, right? Like that's a big part of it. Wanting to make sure we're financially secure so that we can enjoy life like we want to. There's so many aspects to this, even on a marriage side. Like I said, I've been married since I was 20 years old. I've married the love of my life. We started dating at 15. Got married at 20, and we just got to a point where as life kept continuing to go, it's not like there wasn't ups and downs, but it's how are we communicating? How are we continuing to be more in love now than ever before? All these things, because if you know you're in a bad relationship, right, as you get older, like it puts such a strain on you in every aspect of your life. Finances are a big deal too, because like I said, to have the quality of finances, to be able to enjoy life, to be able to really go after, to do the things you really hoped and dreamed you'd be able to do. We all know that money issues is one of the number one reasons why people get divorced, right? Financial issues. And so if I can help ease some of that, right, through just real world knowledge and application that I've learned over the years, that's what I'm really looking to do. I can tell you, my health journey honestly started back when I was in my 20s. My wife and I went on a trip. You don't normally realize how you really look until maybe you look at a picture. That was me. We were traveling through the Smoky Mountains, and I saw this picture of myself. I had this gut on me, and I was like, is that really me? Like I'm in my young 20s. Like, why am I walking around with this gut on me? You see yourself every day, and you kind of almost put blinders on to that. But I wanted to get to a point of like, why am I living life like this? Why am I allowing and putting some of this stuff into my body to where it just, you get to this point where you're feeling sluggish, you're waking up tired, right? You just had a full night's sleep, you're still waking up tired. You don't feel like you have any energy, stamina, vitality to do anything. As we age, even the libido goes down, things like that. I don't know about you guys. I just wanted to keep all that stuff functioning at a very high level. And so I decided to make some changes in my life. That's honestly where I got into to CrossFit, working out, things like that. I was going to the gym, but I was eating like garbage all the time, right? Like I was eating fast food constantly, or just eating just processed garbage all the time. I'm not saying that you have to live some strict, crazy diet in order to have a really good quality of life, but it's like anything else, it's balance. I personally am kind of on an 80-20 rule. About 80% of the time, I'm pretty conscious of what I'm putting in my body. I have three boys, right? Now they're all older. They're 18, 20, and 22 now. But I also want to get to this point to where I got to this level to where if we want to go eat and like just slam wings or something, right? Like we're going to do it. We're going to have a good time with it. And so, I'm coming from a place of living it. There's been times in Vanessa and I's lives where we've had an abundance of finances. There's been times where we were flat broke. There's been times we had serious marriage issues and kind of questioning things. Although I'll give you a quick tip. Divorce is never a word that comes out of our mouth. We knew we were going to have problems in this life. Life will come at you. But we get to this point to where that was just never an option. We knew there was always a solution. Right? I married this woman for a reason. I made a covenant to her and to God that it was for life, and we took that very seriously. But it's not like we didn't have ups and downs and all that. Nutritionally was the same way. Again, I came from a point of not even thinking and or caring about what I'm putting in my body, but also getting to a point where now at 49, again, I'm in better shape. I look better. I have more muscle mass. I have more lean muscle. I have these attributes. I have stamina, health, vitality, energy, where I can live life like I wake up ready to go. I don't wake up just feeling like dreading the day. You know what I'm talking about? So you got to give what I really want to encourage through this podcast is kind of be a guide through some of these things, and not necessarily some guru that has all the answers, but just where we can be vulnerable together. We can create this community together to where we can have some fun, we can all learn together, and we can, in today's world, right, the new buzz term is biohack ourselves. How do we biohack different areas of life to where we're living younger, longer in all aspects of our life? And so one of those big things, like I mentioned before, is wealth and finances. Like that is a big deal for a lot of people because we're trained here in America to go to school, get a job, stay there for 40 years, hope to God that you still have your health and enough finances to retire for maybe another 10 years of life before you pass away, right? The average age right now is going to around 80. So we are living longer, but how are you living longer? And again, wealth is a big part of this because if you look on average, basically because of inflation, the average, it doubles basically every 14 and a half years. So if you really are thinking ahead, you're thinking, okay, if I retire at 65 and I die at 80, okay, that's 15 years. Cost of living on average will double for you. So you get to this point of, did I plan enough? Do I have residual income or do I have investments that will keep up with that so my quality of life, as it comes to my finances, doesn't go down? Because if you think about it, most people don't downsize because they want to, right? They downsize because they have to, right? Because their retirement income is at a level to where they can't keep their normal bills. They need to downsize their house, or they can't go on the vacations, or they can't live life after working all that time, right? So if you think about it, true wealth, in my estimation, it goes with time. Time's that one commodity you'll never get back, right? Energy, freedom, joy, right? Really loving life, because traditional wealth was really all about assets and money. That's really what it was all about. But I want to go into all three kind of currencies that we have as it comes to, like I said, our health currency. What's the point if you're living long, but your quality of life, like you can't get off the couch, right? Your quality of life is just, man, it sucks, right? Like it gets to this point where you don't have the energy to do anything. And sadly, as we all know, there is an obesity crisis here in America because of a lot of the genetically modified foods and the processed foods and just all this stuff that they allow in our food. We see so many people that kind of go through life. I mean, I've seen young dads in their 20s that can barely run down the street with their kids. That bothers me. Like I want to help people to have a better quality of life so they can have the energy and stamina to keep up with those kids, right? To live life, to be present, to enjoy it, right? So that health currency is huge, but it also is a big piece on a mental aspect too, because we know mindset as you go through life is everything. Everything. And we've seen people, right? We've seen people that kind of go through life with a very pessimistic view of life, right? And you see it in all aspects. So no matter how good things actually are, man, they just live life with this nasty, pessimistic view all the time, right? And I've seen that with members of my family sometimes, or I've seen it with some of the coaching calls that I do, where it's like, okay, let's step back and really look at perspective. I was joking with my son the other day, who's now 23 years old, and he was just kind of in that pessimistic mood. Now, my son, he never went to college. He tried it. He was one of those 2020 graduates, and he got out of school, and he went to school for a semester. It was all online, of course, because everything was shut down. And it got to this point to where he was just super frustrated with that environment. He wasn't growing. He wasn't learning. He was just very, very frustrated. So then it gets to this point where he got into refractory working, which is basically high temperature bricklaying at refineries and installations like oil refineries and places like that. They make these really incredible structures. He started doing that at 19. By 21, he was able to buy his first house. He was making 6 figures a year. By 23, he just bought his second car because he travels all over the country doing this. And he was talking to me about this, this pessimistic view of life in the future. And I'm like, son, let's have perspective. You're 23 years old. You're a homeowner, right? You have 2 cars. You make 6 figures a year. You travel. I was joking with him. I was like, at his age, I was honestly working for a local municipality, the city of Beaumont, making $9.72 an hour, right, at his age. Like, I was like, what are you talking about? Like, life is really good. Like, you're so far ahead of the game at 23 years old. And I had to kick him out of that pessimistic mindset and more in a grateful mindset, right? A gratitude. I'll tell you guys, if there is one thing that you leave this podcast with today, it's looking at everything with gratitude. Gratitude is the miracle drug, I'm telling you. If you start really taking a step back and realizing, number one, if you grew up in America, you won the lottery. I've been blessed to travel to about 30 countries all over the world. I have seen true despair and poverty, where there's no hope, no future, nothing to look forward to. Every year I travel to Africa, and we do mission work in this place that's basically a city made out of a landfill. They literally live inside of a landfill. And I'm looking like, what in the world am I griping about? And so, just being grateful that you woke up, that you have your health, you have all your faculties about you, that you have air conditioning, you have clean water that comes out of your faucet. You know how rare that is around the world? I mean, our poor are considered rich around the world. And so again, having that mental piece of it is huge. And we're going to talk about that sometimes on this podcast on just mindsets. And how do we create the mindset, create the environment in our head so that we can live life to its fullest and not in this nasty, pessimistic view of things, but actually going out and having a real quality of life of gratitude for all the blessings that we have. Time is a big thing. Again, I said a minute ago, time is that one commodity that we'll never get back. And so when you really think about just time, right? Living long enough and young enough to enjoy it. There's so many times that we get stuck in this rat race of life there's a book called Outwitting the Devil. And in that, it talks about how the devil gets a hold of you and getting you this hypnotic, you kind of wake up, go to work, come home, eat, sleep, repeat 40 years. It's not really your goals. It's not your passions. It's not your dreams. You're just kind of going through the motions, right? Because that's what we're supposed to do. And then we wake up one day and be like, man, I feel like I've lived this entire life and I wasted a lot of it. There's a book out there by a hospice nurse that talks about some of the biggest regrets of people. And most of it was not going after their goals and dreams, not truly going after their real passions, right? And caring too much about what other people thought or said, right? Time, like every minute you spend with me on this, that's a minute you'll never get back. And I take that very seriously. I want to bring a lot of value to you guys. And as we go through this journey together and create this community together, that's really what it's all about. How do we create assets, right, that can give you residual money, that can create leverage in your life, that can create aspects to where you're not tied to this job and you have to be stuck somewhere because you have to be, right? Like all these kind of things like that. So kind of going through that in that time. And again, financial currency, having choices and no limitations, right? I don't think there's any harder thing than to look at your kid who's super passionate about doing something, but the finances just aren't there, right? Kind of going through these motions of barely getting by or living paycheck to paycheck and all these things. That is such a huge piece of overall wealth. And again, I look at that in so many currencies like health, time, finances, your fitness. I look at my fitness as a piece of my wealth. That I have the time, the energy, right, the stamina, the vitality to go out and live life and to have fun and explore this amazing world. So, if you think about what most problems that people face, they chase money and neglect health, right? And we can all get stuck in that where we're sacrificing our health because we're chasing money. We're working ourselves to death. We're stressing ourselves to death. We're getting to these areas where we're wound up and tight and just like this ticking time bomb all the time because we don't have, again, we're just chasing that dollar and we're never really getting ahead. We're never really making choices. We're just trying to find any way to scrape and get by. And we really get to this point where sometimes people, they kind of go the opposite way where they obsess over their health and then they're stressing about money all the time, right? They kind of go to that other end of the spectrum. And again, we have to find, life is about balance. And you'll never be in true balance, I don't believe. There's seasons of life where we go through different areas, but you get to this point where we are really going after and really trying to find out where we can create income and not neglect health, have our health and not stress about money all the time, right? When you really think about that, stress, poor lifestyles, right, burnout, that all accelerates aging. Stress is a mother, right? Like it is something that will sneak up on you and bite you in the ass quicker than you ever think of. We got to get to this point to where we can start managing that. And again, money's such a stressor, mindset's such a stressor, our health is such a stressor, all these things to where we get to where we're not neglecting it. We're not accelerating aging by going through these burnouts, right? And that's why I titled this To Live Younger Longer, right, as a solution. How can we go through some of these issues and problems together? How can we have an open community of people that is just helping each other through these situations in life so that we can have these better, we make better choices. We're conscious to make better choices because so many times we honestly get to a point of, man, we subconsciously are going through life, right, with these habits that we created. Habits will master you. You are a slave to habits. If you've never read the book, The Greatest Salesman in the World, I encourage you to get that book and read it. But one of the chapters in there talks about habits. And if you want to, replace a habit, you have to replace a bad habit. You got to do it with a good habit, right? You have to kind of replace it and get going through it. So then subconsciously you're making better choices. And we're not going through life with just this string of subconscious bad habits that we're just going through life. And I'll give you an example. If you've been at your job for a long time, I guarantee there's some times when you come home from work, you don't even remember the drive over there, right? Like you get to this point where you're like, man, I don't even remember driving home. You're just on autopilot, right? Or think about how you get out of the shower. I guarantee you dry off the same way, the exact same way, every single time, right? So if we're not careful, we can make poor choices, poor lifestyle choices, poor financial choices, poor nutrition choices. That is the same thing. It's just habit, right? If you have a habit of every time you leave work or every time you go to lunch, you're sitting there and you're like, oh my gosh, you're just grabbing fast food every single day. It's a habit, right? I'm hungry. Let me go pop in there and just grab something, right? Instead of doing a little bit of planning ahead to where you can make better choices. And so, like I said, I want to offer solutions through this. I want to find out people's problems, offer the solution for it, and go through that together. And so kind of, the promise and philosophy behind all of this is kind of sharing the framework of what I'm intending to do through this podcast, right? Again, physical wellness, mental wellness, financial wellness, aesthetic confidence, faith. I think all these things are such a major thing because, again, if you look in the mirror and you don't like what you see, it affects you. It affects how you carry yourself. It affects how you posture. It affects everything in your life. If you're getting to this point where you're kind of looking at yourself and aesthetically it's bothering you, it honestly hits your subconscious. I mean, how many of us in our adolescent years, right, had acne issues and, oh my gosh, you're looking at yourself, you're like, oh, look at what I look like, right? It so affects you in so many ways. So it's such a major thing And so we're going to have weekly conversations about this. I intend to have a lot of different guests on here as well. It's not just going to be me solo, but I've been blessed to have a pretty big network of people that are experts in some of these areas of how can we, again, live younger longer in so many aspects in our life? How can we make small, incremental lifestyle choices or mental choices to get to a point to where we are so much, again, subconsciously making better choices so that we can get to this point to where as we age, we're not declining in all these areas of our life. We're actually improving the areas of our life. So one thing I would love for you to do, like I said, I invite you to subscribe and don't miss, right? Let's grow this community together. I'm super excited to be a part of this, to be starting this movement. I have access to some really cool technology that will give you insights if you choose to want to participate in it, to how you're kind of aging from the inside out, how you're aging from the outside in, right? I have access to a lot of that. I have access to, again, an amazing network of people that I plan on being guests on this podcast, so you can hear a lot of different perspectives to get your brain thinking in a different way. I really want to encourage you to follow the page. I do post a lot of workouts and stuff, so if you've ever been interested in just some quick CrossFit type or high intensity training, interval training, I do post a lot of workouts, a lot of shorts on my YouTube page as well, also with my Instagram page, things like that. But we want to get to this point to where, if you show up to the gym, you're not sure what you want to do, you can always go to the page and find a workout. I try to post one, if not every day, it's about every other day. But I post exactly what we're doing, and I a lot of times will demonstrate a few of the movements of that workout during it, because I want to show people what the movements are and stuff like that. I am starting to post a lot of different nutritional tips and things like that, because we all know the way they're just raping all the natural ingredients out of our food now. It's so hard to eat just naturally, right? To eat a real whole foods diet, it's super hard for the average person. So about 75% of people right now are supplementing, but there's confusion in the marketplace as it goes to this. Number one, what do I even take? Where do I even start? You can go to the store and get lost in these aisles of so many choices when it comes to supplementation. But how do you know it's really working? And we're going to show you solutions for that, on how you can truly know, is your body actually absorbing and getting what it needs? Or are you just passing it? Are you consuming it but not absorbing it? There's a major difference between what you're consuming and what you're absorbing, right? Is your body actually getting what it needs so it can perform like it should? That's a huge part of aging younger longer, right? That with science, we know that we can now change the expression of our genes as we age to keep them functioning at a younger level, right? Like we did when we were 18, right? We had all the energy and stamina in the world. We had all the libido, all our mental faculties, all these things together, right? And we're getting to this point to where we can actually, through nutrition, right, feeding our body what it needs to help influence those genes so they stay functioning like they did back then. That's what we're really looking to do. And so I'm super excited again to be starting this journey with you guys. This is the premiere episode. If you're watching this, thank you so much for being early. I definitely plan on having some giveaways for those early subscribers, some little extra goodies for you guys. But the biggest thing we can do, again, I authentically want to build a community of people that want to improve their quality of life. Again, whether it's aesthetically, nutritionally, financially, faith, and in their fitness, to get to these areas to where we can all live a younger life, right? Longer. That's the whole point of this. And that's why I named it what I did. And this is where I'm super excited, because I'm living proof of somebody that was on that downhill trajectory, but I was able to go up. And again, it was a lot of coaching, a lot of mentorship, a lot of personal development, a lot of things that I've learned, just real world experience that now I can share, and I'm excited to share to help people get to this other area. So again, I hope this was of value to you. We're going to be posting every Monday. We'll be launching a new episode. Again, I'll have a lot of special guests on with me as well. We're going to have a lot of fun on this journey, but I'm super excited and I'm super intentional on wanting to build a community of people that want a better quality of life in all aspects of their life. And I intend to bring a lot of value to that, so that you walk away with real action points where you say, okay, I can apply that. Or that's a simple little small shift that I can make in my life to improve this area or that area, right? To be able to track different areas of your life. We all know what is not tracked is not improved. So if you want to improve your health, your finances, all these things, simple ways to kind of be conscious of what you're tracking so that, again, you're not just going through this hypnotic rhythm, you're really going through life intentionally to get the most quality of your life or to get the most life out of every single year you're here on this earth until you're called home. You know what I'm saying? So again, I'm excited about this. Again, my name's Jason Harris. I'm really excited to start this community and this podcast of helping you live younger, longer in all aspects of your life, guys. So we'll see you next Monday. Take care. God bless. We'll talk to you soon.